But let me ask you this. Do you think, without violating any principles, knowing that some of these cases are, as you say, serious, is it possible Donald Trump could end up convicted of one of these cases in your mind?
Oh, is it possible? Absolutely. You have a jury of 12 who's going to ultimately decide this. Jack Smith is a federal prosecutor who I knew from his days in Brooklyn. They're serious prosecutors, and these are federal cases, and you have a jury.
And you don't think they're political? You think they're good cases? They're not just politics?
Look, do I think there's a political bent to some of this, some of the way this was gone about? Yes, I do. Do I think these cases are invalid cases? Look, a grand jury voted to indict, and he's going to have to face a jury in Washington, D.C.
4 grand juries.
Yeah, 4. Thank you. Washington, D.C., Florida, and Georgia, and New York City. And, I'd say maybe 3 of those venues are not particularly big Trump venues, right? New York City, Washington, D.C., and Atlanta. So that's going to be, something to really have to grapple with there. And you can't say there's no way he'll get convicted. There's no way, he'll be sentenced. And
they're tough prosecutors that, despite whatever political angle, you don't think would bring cases if they didn't think there was some legal case.
Oh, I'm sure they believe in their cases. Yeah, I do. I'm not going to subscribe unethical conduct on behalf of prosecutors without seeing evidence that they believe in their case. Doesn't mean they're right, by the way, Reverend, but they believe in their case.
Doesn't mean they're wrong either, Joe.
Does not either.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably not great when a longtime member of Trump's own legal team trots himself out onto national television to decry the seriousness of the prosecutions against his former client. And of course, while it's customary that Trump's mouthpieces only manage to find their tongues after they've been summarily discarded by Trump, this is someone who is dealing with Trump's litigation at the closest levels. Trump may claim that Tacopina is some low-level volunteer, some coffee boy, but he was representing him in a number of cases, including the Manhattan DA case regarding Trump's campaign finance violations and the initial E. Jean Carroll defamation case, which he was forced to pay $5 million for. But in terms of why he left Trump's legal team now, in the heart of these ongoing prosecutions, here's what Tacopina had to say.
Why would you leave the team?
By the way, it's the first and only interview, Reverend, that I'll be doing on this topic. Okay, you're someone obviously very special to me and someone I have a relationship with, and I'm going to discuss it once and only once to the degree I can. I left the team because it was just my time. I had to follow my compass, and my compass told me it was my time there was done. There are a lot of personal reasons that went into that, things that I can and won't discuss. I also have A$AP Rocky's trial coming up this year, which is going to take most of my year. The attention that's going to be put into that case, there's a lot riding on that for that young man, his wife, and his family. But there are personal reasons. And as much as I'd love to discuss them, I just can't, because while I see many lawyers, ex-lawyers of the president, go on television once they're removed from the team or leave the team and discuss him and his legal team and have something to say and criticize everyone around, it's not professional. It's petty ante. It shows a lack of confidence in oneself when you go out there and do that. There's also a fiduciary obligation. So regardless of how I feel personally, I have to stay close to the vest when it comes to the exact personal reasons. Reverend, you and I are very close. We can always talk about that. But I just don't want to be like the lawyers who do things that, in my opinion, make them look very bad and violate what an attorney's privileges mean to a client, whether you are with the client or no longer with the client, whether you like the client or don't like the client. But I just had to follow my compass, and it was my time.
Purposefully vague, but it suggests that he knew what he was doing by representing the most corrupt politician in U.S. history was wrong. Which, yeah, dude, welcome to objective reality. But before you applaud Joey Tacopina for being some stalwart of professionalism and integrity, just remember, for the same reasons that he left now, he also knew everything before. It's not like the guy just figured out who Donald Trump is. He knew exactly who he was and exactly what he did when he initially signed up for the gig. So the fact that he took it, even if only temporarily, tells you a hell of a lot more about Tacopina's compass than he's trying to claim right now. I did speak with my Legal Breakdown co-host Glenn Kirshner about the implications of Tacopina's leaving Trump's legal team at such a critical moment, and here's what he had to say.
Brian, all I can tell you is something broke bad, because one thing you almost never see, it is a shakeup on a legal team in a big, high-profile case. So at a minimum, there was some kind of an irreconcilable difference between Donald Trump, the client, and, Joey, forget about it, Tacopina, the attorney. Yeah. His middle name is not really forget about it. I put that in there. Something broke bad. What it is, I don't know. You know, we can sort of read between the lines, and we've seen some reporting about how Donald Trump wants to testify and Tacopina didn't want him to testify. Remember, he didn't testify in the first E. Jean Carroll case, and Donald Trump went down on flames. And, you know, Joey Tacopina's track record with Donald Trump is not that great because he lost an enormous judgment, $5 million, that Donald Trump ultimately will have to pay to E. Jean Carroll for defamation.
In fact, we dug into whether there were any possible nefarious reasons why he left, and here's what Glenn went on to offer.
Now, the other thing I thought of the minute I saw this reporting is Donald Trump's other lawyers might say, oh my goodness, Judge, we need a continuance. We need more time. We need delay.
Right.
We need to kick this can down the road, which we all know is pretty much keeping with Donald Trump's playbook in every legal proceeding he has. I haven't yet heard, because this is brand new reporting, whether they're trying to win a continuance of the jury selection in the E. Jean Carroll case, but that is one of the possible motivators behind this legal shakeup. I don't think the judge is going to stand for it, though. And because there are other attorneys that remain on Donald Trump's defense team, the judge will rightly say, you've still got lawyers at the table. Let's move on to jury selection.
So while it doesn't seem like Tacopina's departure is part of some broader scheme to get Trump the delays that he's constantly seeking, I wouldn't put it past Trump for a heartbeat. Now, in terms of Tacopina's TV appearance today, is it telling that he's signaling bad legal news on the horizon for his former client? Of course it is. But let's remember, we don't need Joey Tacopina to validate what we all clearly already know. Trump is facing 91 criminal charges in 4 jurisdictions for crimes that he's virtually got no defense for. He stole classified documents. He attempted to subvert the electoral certification. He coordinated as part of a criminal enterprise to undermine the election results. He committed campaign finance violations. He did virtually all of this in full view of the public. So while it's always nice to have the added validation of Trump's own close confidants telling us how much trouble his former client is in, most of that is already clear thanks to our common sense and our own eyes. Although it will change one thing. Expect to see the inevitable Trump meltdown claiming that he hardly knew Tacopina. Because if Trump's other attorneys and cabinet members and officials are any indication, I'll bet Tacopina wishes the exact same thing. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.